hypertension, like a hypertensive person right now, because I just filled out Kai's application for first steps for pre-K. So nervous. So like fingers crossed everywhere he gets in, because that's like the first step to school. So very exciting. Anyways, today's video is going to be the top 10 palettes that I'm going to recommend to you for spring of 2024. So these are 10 palettes that I recommend you shop your stash or pull out this year. So my first one was the Makeup by Mario. I think that's how you say his name. It's not Mario, it's Mario. I think that's how you say it. The Ethereal Eyes palette. So I think that this palette is just so gorgeous with the ethereal shimmers and like the pink tones. I love that palette. And honestly, if you have this palette in your collection, I recommend pulling it out for spring because I get such spring vibes with that palette. If you have the Makeup by Mario palette and you want the looks that I'm kind of recommending, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, do not spend the money on this palette because you can get dupes. So if you have the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette in your collection, it's a good dupe for this palette. If you have the ColourPop 1111 palette, it's a good dupe for this palette as well. I'm going to go ahead and recommend to you guys is the Juvia's Place Garden of Juvia palette. This is a pastel palette. I am not really big on pastels. I'm not really big on color either, but I'm not gonna lie. If you're a color lover and you like pastels, that's the palette I'm gonna recommend to you. I know Natasha Denona has the pastel palette. I don't like the Natasha Denona's pastel palette as much as I like the Juvia's Place one. And also, Alter Ego just released the Dream Gaze palette, which is a dupe for the Natasha Denona pastel palette. Jen Phelps did a video on it, which if I remember correctly, I will link it below. If I forget, say a comment politely, and I will link her video down below where she did a video and she compared the two palettes, which Alter Ego usually is pretty spot on when it comes to the Natasha Denona dupes. So I'm not really surprised, but I didn't like the Natasha Denona pastel palette, so I'm not going to like the Dream Gaze palette. I'm going to go ahead and recommend the Juvia's Place Garden of Juvia palette to you guys because for spring, I know I'm wearing a grungy eye today. For spring, I'm thinking airy, light, and if you're into color, obviously pastels. Down the ColourPop Gone Matte palette. This is a big palette and it's all matte shadows. The ColourPop has a pretty decent formula to be as affordable as what they are. So in my opinion, to spend the money spend the money you do on the 35 palette, you're getting really good quality and product in the palette itself. I recommend it because there might be some of you out there for spring who are into what I'm into right now, which is a very no makeup look. Even though I have the grungy eye on right now, I'm into a no makeup look. No makeup look. A good matte eyeshadow, like a couple browns in the crease, maybe a little on the outer edge, and then a matte shadow that kind of matches your skin tone is going to be absolutely perfect with this ColourPop palette in the spring. Was actually Morgan Turner's Wedding palette, and it's the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Eyes Pillow Talk palette. This is a very, very expensive palette, but it has those pinks that I think of in the spring because, like, Morgan Turner used it on her wedding, so it gives me like those airy spring wedding vibes too. So I understand exactly where she was coming from, and I 100% would recommend this palette. I don't think that they actually sell this anymore, but if it's in your collection, I'm recommending it to you. I'm going to recommend to you guys is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. So this also can give fall vibes as well, but for me it gives spring vibes with that pastel bright purple. It's an amazing palette. This is what brought Anastasia back for a lot of people, including me. It's an amazing formula also, but it's very, 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 it's easy to break. That's what I wanted to say. It's easy to break, so be careful. To you guys isn't really a palette, it's a bundle, and it's the Sydney Grace in Mel's Memory bundle. So Mel Thompson is a YouTuber who loved Sydney Grace, and she absolutely loved the color story of the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette, and she made a bundle of that color story with Sydney Grace shadows. And they sell that bundle now, so I recommend getting that out if you have Sydney Grace shadows in your collection because maybe you're an indie lover. I'm gonna recommend getting them out. I'm gonna recommend buying the bundle if you don't have it and you like these color stories, because the proceeds does go to Mel's family, and Mel has unfortunately passed away. So I think any little bit that her family gets is gonna help. If you don't want to get this, dupes for this palette are the Alter Ego Sakura palette and then the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. To you guys is the Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. I'm recommending the Warrior 2 palette because it is a 9-pan all matte palette. The pan sizes are gigantic, so I recommend this to you because it's affordable. It's a great formula, and if you're into the no makeup look, it's going to be perfect because, like I said, it's an all matte palette. You can go very deep with it if you want to. You can go light if you want to, and like I said, it's a good formula. It's inexpensive. It's perfect for spring. Recommend to you is going to be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. Screaming for no reason. I'm recommending this to you because it's a neutral palette and it's going to give you very glam looks in the spring, and there might be some people who want that. Recommend to you guys, and that is the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. I know this is an old palette. It's an oldie but a goodie. The Naked formula from Urban Decay is not really the absolute best, but it's very, very sheer, and I'm going to recommend it because of the fact that it is sheer. But it has those pink tones. They're just lighter pink tones than what the Charlotte Tilbury palette offers, which is why I'm recommending the Urban Decay palette, because they're lighter pink tones, and there might be people who might like those light pink tones. This would honestly be my sister's perfect palette all year round. Sorry, and I scared him because I had to save him. But anyways, the final palette I'm going to recommend to you guys is going to be the Natasha Denona Biba palette. So this can honestly go in summer and fall as well. I don't know what I'm going to do for summer and fall. We'll see when that time comes. But this is another neutral palette that I think is going to give you glam looks. This is $129, so definitely take with information what you will if you already have it. If you have the Sahara palette from Alter Ego, that is a dupe for this. But also remember that the Sephora sale is happening soon at the time that I'm filming this, so you might be able to pick this palette up on a discount. Do with that information what you will. I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye, y'all.